grab an espresso and spaghetti because the Italian Winter Olympics are here. Hey, it's Josh with Tax.pro. I'm a man with a plan. Welcome to the Tax.pro show. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm an EA with over 20 years experience. I'm the CEO of Nat Business Solutions. We're going to get into it today. Glad you're here. We talked about the Super Bowl and how much players are going to earn off of their winnings and what taxes they're going to pay and a bunch of other things. Go check out that video. Today, we're going to talk about what other countries pay their winners versus what the U.S. pays. How much will the athletes pay in taxes and how will they file? Most everyday athletes that are going to be performing at the Olympics are going to pay a whopping zero tax on their related medals and prizes. Why? And that's both in Italy and in the US. Well, that's because most of them are not big earners. You heard that right. They're just not making a lot of money in general. Their income is relatively low. Now, there's those few that are at the very, very top, right? Those are the guys you're going to see on the commercials, the cereal boxes. They've got lots of endorsement deals, lots of sponsorships, and those guys are going to pay up to 37% in the US, possibly even higher effective rates in Italy on those amounts. If they're just your regular average Joe and they don't have those endorsements or sponsorships and they're up and coming, then those guys are going to be paying quite a bit less, probably zero, in taxes. All right, so let's talk about the typical income for most Olympic athletes. Most athletes earn little from the Olympics themselves, often less than $15,000 per year from athletic income alone. In a U.S. survey, about 26 to 30% of high-performance Olympic athletes earn under $15,000 annually. Think about that. Almost a third of them are making less than $15,000 annually. And nearly half reported no compensation from their Olympic involvement at all. Some sources that we looked at when we were researching this describe an approximate average for Olympic athletes, factoring in training, stipends and grants, and modest sponsorships of around $15,000 to $40,000. Most of the athletes that you're going to see on TV are not big income earners. They're just not. Only those very, very top few are going to be making bank and actually have any kind of tax considerations. Athletes don't usually receive a salary from the Olympics themselves. That's just not how they're paid. The IOC doesn't directly pay athletes. The payment actually comes from the National Olympic Committee or governments and endorsements. In the U.S., athletes currently receive one-time medal bonuses, such as $37,500 for gold, $22,500 for silver, and $15,000 for bronze. These vary by country. Some nations pay much more, hundreds or thousands of dollars for gold, silver, or bronze. So some of that looks like this. Hong Kong, for example, they pay for gold $768,000, silver $384,000, and bronze $192,000. How about Singapore? $745,000 for gold, $373 for silver, and $186,000 for bronze. And we'll cover one more, Indonesia. $300,000 for gold, $150,000 for silver, $60,000 for bronze. Isn't that crazy? So yeah, when it comes down to it, the U.S. actually pays far less than what a lot of other countries pay. And some of those countries pay some pretty big money to their athletes for winning those medals. Of course, in the U.S., if you're on the top, you're probably getting some sponsorship deals that are going to be very, very nice, and they'll pay out a lot more than those other countries. And then that's going to put you into some situations where you're going to need to be paying taxes on them. So another thing that we were thinking about and talking through with our team was, are there any special Milan taxes related to or specifically for the Olympics? And as a matter of fact, there are. So approximately a radius of about 30 kilometers or 19 miles from around the Olympic competition venues have a tourist tax, and that's about 6% per night during the 2026 Olympics. The goal is to generate extra revenue for the Olympic related infrastructure, services, and public projects. So when the Olympics come in, they have to build a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of construction around it, and the countries actually spend millions and millions, sometimes billions of dollars just to get that infrastructure put together. And so, yes, they pass that tax on to the spectators that are going to be watching that. How much income increase for Milan do economists expect while they host the Olympics? So this is a loaded question. There's a couple of things that we want to look at. There's the pre-event money, then there's economic impact over time. But the other thing we want to compare in this little bit is how much the city of Milan actually spent on infrastructure for the Olympics. That number, that little price tag weighs in at $1.9 billion. The pre-event money is expected to be somewhere around $350 million. And then the economic impact, and of course we don't know this, but is projected to be somewhere around $7 billion over time. So yes, they're definitely going to spend some money. It should return that back into their economics. And of course, those people there will feel that impact, which would be really great for their city. With all of that information about the Olympics, wow, crazy things going on. It's so fun to watch these guys compete. They work on it all the time, day in and day out, kind of like we do for this show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And it's important that you subscribe because that's going to help banana pills be provided for manufacturing across the world. Thanks again.
Unlock the power of full-service payroll with Payority. What is full-service payroll? It's the ultimate hassle-free solution for managing your business's payroll needs. With full-service payroll, every aspect of payroll processing is handled for you, from calculating wages and taxes to filing compliance reports and ensuring timely payments. You get peace of mind while saving time and resources. Why Payority's full-service payroll stands out. Complete payroll management. We handle everything: wage calculations, tax withholdings, direct deposits, and more. Compliance made easy. Stay worry-free with expert handling of federal, state, and local tax regulations. Employee self-service. Empower your team with easy access to pay stubs and tax forms through our secure portal. Dedicated support. Our payroll experts are with you every step of the way, ensuring accuracy and reliability. Ready to simplify your payroll? Visit Payority.com to learn how our full-service payroll solutions can transform your business.
Related to how the wealthy take out loans to avoid taxes and build wealth, right?
Let's talk about it.
You buy stocks, you never sell them, you borrow against them.
Okay, explain that to me like I'm a 10-year-old. So
Sure, you own $100 in Amazon stock.
Yeah.
You need money to buy something. Instead of selling the stock and say it's gone up 50%, say it's doubled, you would have to realize a capital gain and pay long-term capital gains on that $50 gain. No, just borrow against it and let the stock continue to grow.
what rich people do is they'll buy a stock. So I'll spend 10K on Amazon stock, and then I go to a bank and the bank give me a $5,000 loan against my Amazon stock tax-free.
Right.
And I just hold the Amazon stock. Now I've got $5,000 tax-free. If the Amazon stock goes to $20,000 in value, then I can go to the bank and say it's gone up now, give me another $5,000, and I just spend and live off that money. Now if the Amazon stock collapses, I'm fine, because the loan was against the stock. So they'll sell the stock at a certain point as it's collapsing to get their money back.
One of the great tax schemes in history is that stocks grow. Think of yourself as a stock. You go up in value. You're making $1 million a year doing a very successful podcast. Every year, the government in the UK is going to take 40 cents of that, 40% of it. If you own $1 million in stock and it goes to 2 million, you don't get taxed on it till you sell it.
Yeah, so just never sell it.
Never sell it.
And that's what Elon's doing with his
Never
companies.
sell it.
People say he's got, $200 billion, whatever. In fact, he's borrowing tax-free against those companies.
And then when he finally needs to sell it to pay off some of those loans, he moves to Texas, despite the fact he built all his wealth in California.
Okay, so do the wealthy actually borrow money in this way? Yes, some of them absolutely do. It's called marginal loan, and it's based on the margin that you've got in those stocks. One thing, warning of caution. Okay, there's actually a lot of warning of cautions. First off, you got to actually like debt. I don't, so I don't do this. There are people that do and that are not afraid of debt. From a tax standpoint, it's not really an issue. I'll tell you the things they're not talking about. You have this thing called margin interest. And margin interest is a deduction on your tax return, but you can only deduct margin interest against basically passive income, which would be interest income. So it's held, it stays there as a deduction until you have enough interest income to use it, and it just carries forward. With margin, I'm not a big fan. I would tell you not to do this plan. I don't think it's a good long-term plan for most people. However, and I'll give you one other slight little warning and caveat to this. You would be surprised, because I've seen this happen more than once, that the bank demands the owner of the stock sell the stock and pay the money to the bank. That absolutely does happen. So if you're doing this, you just realize that you're absolutely putting risk, and that's the part of the equation they're not talking about. There's definitely a lot of risk in this, and you're putting that risk, you're putting your finances at risk when you do this. And so, yes, could you borrow? Because the loan, of course, a loan is not taxable. Yes, you can borrow on the margin of gain on your stocks. Absolutely. Is it a tax move? I mean, that depends, because it's not a tax move when the bank forces you to sell it and you've got to pay all that back to the bank, and then you don't have the money and you don't have the stocks. So yeah, that's a potential problem, and that does happen. I've seen it happen. I've had clients that have had this go through that before. Absolutely. Can you use margin? Yes. Should you use margin? That's up to you and your risk level. On a small scale of this, believe it or not, jail. No, just kidding. Believe it or not, on a small scale, you can actually do this in Robinhood. So if you go buy some stocks, you put $500 in Robinhood. Robinhood will approve you for marginal loans inside Robinhood, and then you can take and you can invest on that margin. That's actually how Robinhood allows you to buy stock immediately, is with margin on the money that you're transferring in. So it's like a loan, and then you're going to pay them interest. That's how they make their money, is they're making money off of the interest they're charging you on the margin. And that's what this is called, when you go borrow money and you use your stock as collateral. But please, 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 please realize it is at risk when you do that. Just like your mortgage is at risk if you don't make the payment. Those are my thoughts. I hope you're enjoying watching the Olympics, and thanks for tuning in for this episode. Listen, don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can get these updates and you can further our message of taxation around the globe. Thanks for tuning in.